Delta 547, wind 19016, runway 22 right, clear for takeoff.
Runway 22 right, clear for takeoff, Delta 547.
Taxi via
Air traffic controllers protect our nation's airways. These are the stories of real air traffic controllers to boldly deliver a safe, orderly, and expeditious flow of air traffic from their departure point to their final destination.
Wind 19016, runway 22 right, clear for takeoff.
Runway 22 right, clear for takeoff, Delta 547.
It was a midnight shift, and I was the watch supervisor on that shift up at the desk. It was a terrible night with thunderstorms all over the place. Definitely not a night for airplanes to fly through it. And all of a sudden, one of my controllers down at College Station calls me and tells me he's got a problem. So I go down there, and he says to me, I can't find this guy. And the guy had taken off from College Station, going towards Dallas. Weather was not fit for big airplanes as opposed to little Cessnas. And he says the guy got about 30 miles north of College Station, said to him that he wanted to go back to College Station. So he turned the guy around, got him south of the airport, turned him in, and cleared him for the approach on that runway. The guy proceeds to go through the approach, and the controller takes him back around again, gets him set up, sets him up for the runway, clears him in again, and the guy proceeds to go through the approach again. And now the controller brings him around again, and he asks the pilot if he has the approach plates for the airport. The pilot says no, but he never told the controller that before. So now he's reading the detailed procedures to the pilot of how to get in on that approach, the ILS approach. And as he turns the aircraft in, all of a sudden he hears the pilot screaming, I lost it, I lost it. And he sees the target descending, and then he loses the target. Okay. Now, we're trying to find out what happened to the aircraft. It's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. There's no one at the airport to help us. So in a situation like that, you have to pull out the information on the aircraft. And there's a whole sheet that a pilot will file before he takes off on the aircraft. The call sign, the pilot's name, a phone number, an address. And now I start calling search and rescue and the highway patrol. And I call this phone number that's on the paperwork. And lo and behold, somebody answers. And it turns out it's a phone booth at College Station Airport. And this person gets on the phone, and I explain that, this is the FAA from Houston trying to get more information on this aircraft. I have the call signs, but on this aircraft. And do you happen to know who this pilot was? He says, yes, in a very Middle Eastern accent. He says, yes, I do. And we are going to be airline pilot. I said, oh, okay. I said, do you know where he was going when he left it? He says, yes. He was going up to a flight school in Dallas, but we are going to be airline pilot. I said, that's wonderful. Someday you'll get to that point. And I said, are you familiar with this pilot? He says, oh, yes. Do you know if he got a weather briefing before he took off? He did not. He did not get a weather briefing. Okay. I said, well, the weather was terrible out there. I said, do you know if he had the approach plates? No, he did not have the approach plates, but we're going to be airline pilot. And I wrote the gentleman's name down. I got a phone number for him. I stayed around till about 8 o'clock in the morning. They found the crash site. And the paperwork had showed only one pilot in the airplane, but it turned out there were two. They did not survive. And I turned all the paperwork in. But about a few weeks later, 9/11 happened. And I still didn't correlate anything with this until about 6 months later. I started hearing congressional investigations about how pilots had been around the country at various flight schools learning how to fly commercial airplanes. And I remember that guy's voice, "We are going to be airline pilot." And I went to my manager and we talked about it. And I said, maybe we need to pull that package back out and send it to the FBI, because something wasn't right about it then, but thinking about it now, it makes more sense. And we sent the package away, and about 6 months after that, I got a call from Washington from the Justice Department. And these investigators wanted to come down and talk to me about this crash. They came down, we sat down and talked about it, and I brought out the person's name. I probably can't even pronounce it, but I still got it. And I said, "Have you ever heard of this name before?" And they said, "Yes, we have." I said, "Have you talked to him?" They said, "No, we don't think he's in this country now." I said, "All I can say is, all he kept saying was, 'We're going to be airline pilot. We're going to be airline pilot.'" And I wonder if he ever was.
Did they have the tape in the package? They must have had a cassette tape from it, no?
I believe they did, and I could possibly have it also.